So welcome all. Thank you for coming. Here is share screen. That's what I was going to do if I don't have the camera, and that's what I do anyway when I do have the camera. So that's how I connected to the meeting. But really what we need to start with is this. Okay, that is our webinar. And what is special about this webinar is that I try everything. That's what I do, and it sped up again. So there were about 2 big news every week. Then there was one for just maybe a month, and now again it's more than 2 big courses, let's say. Big news meaning 2 new courses, which are all essential technology. So by now we have about 80 different essential technologies dealing with AI. All will come together as we talk. So let us start. So here is the outlines of what we're talking about. And if you scroll down, you will see about 2.5 years of what we were talking about. All of that is found at this link. So I'm giving you the link. I'm giving that link to you guys on chat, guys and girls. Okay. Here, that is our webinar. Okay, so if you click on it, you will see what I see here. I will in turn see those funny animals which tell me that somebody logs in. That is number one. Number two is that I have a whole spreadsheet of different courses that essentially we go through. That I think is the major attraction of our webinar here. So I'm showing you what that is. Okay, here we go. I call it AI education, and it starts right here, and then it goes down to the, well, about 81. These are our own repositories. So what I do is I try everything. I also create a repository for every course. I copy paste their labs into my course. Sometimes there is no repository, sometimes it's a little bit out of date, but it's very valuable because that talks about all the different approaches that you can take. So just what comes immediately to mind, I'm dealing with one project where people say, regular expressions don't work. Of course they don't work. I mean, they're a great tool, but not for AI tasks. And so what I'm dealing with is that, you know what you're saying, Mark, is I tried it and it didn't work. Well, when did you try it? Well, I tried it half a year ago. Well, sorry. Every week, there are 2 new essential, crucial, and absolutely irreplaceable technologies that are different from others. So if you tried it half a year ago, it's like more than a stone age. All right, that's what that is. That's number one. So if you want to know what should I learn in AI, well, go here first and take whatever your heart likes. That's number one. Number two is what we're going to talk about today. But I think the first thing that I will do is show you guys the last piece of news because it all comes together. So here is the last piece of news. It's from Mark Zuck, as they call him. Okay, I'll read a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it. But what is interesting are the numbers. Okay, that will be a defining year for AI. 2025 expect Meta AI to be the leading assistant serving more than 1 billion people. Well, it's a nice claim, assuming that, yes, they will want it. Llama will become a leading state-of-the-art model. All right, it is nice to hear, and I wish you well. But to power this, the Meta is building 2 gigawatt data center. That brings, I mean, I love data centers, and that's wonderful. But it reminds me that there is a wonderful Russian writer who predicted kind of what is going on, and they measured in teraturings or megaturings or gigaturings. They measured the power of AI, and they didn't allow it too smart because that was just regulated. So we're going into these numbers and this prediction, but most importantly, it's right here. 1.3 million GPUs. We all know that ChatGPT runs on 10,000 GPUs. Well, and you like to throw those numbers around. You like to say, well, if you have 10,000 GPUs, then you're good, right? Like ChatGPT. Well, here you have 1.3 million. That's number one. Then investing 60 to 65 billion into that whole infrastructure. And that's these news. But that's not the only piece of news. The other piece of news is I have a blog entry where I put it in there. So I put it in Elephant Scale. I really should be putting it in another place, but I just don't have the blog there, other place. So I was talking about the AI applications because I am not competing. I'm a kind of regular human, if you talk in terms of, well, gods, well, others people with the billions of dollars are considered as gods in that space. But you can all do, I can do, you can do applications. AI applications is just as important as AI infrastructure. So they're all talking about the AI infrastructure. For example, here you have the Stargate project announced 2 days ago. And if you have not heard about this, it's announced up on OpenAI and you can read about it. But it is a 500 billion project that is supposed to give the US supremacy, and it's starting with 100 billion. Oh, big numbers, right? When you think of your next trip to the food store, that's very impressive. But what's important is infrastructure. It's okay, financed by SoftBank and so on. Okay, very important. There are arguments back and forth, but that's number one. That somebody is building kind of electrical power stations. That's a well-beaten analogy, but that's what they say anyway all the time. Andrew Ankins keeps saying that, well, who is doing electrical toys? Who is creating something enabled by electricity? Well, that's guys us. We know the specific. By the way, that picture is I asked AI to create something after reading my blog. That well, he shows kind of all kinds of AI applications. So that is what I'm talking about from the point of view of a practitioner. And okay, here I talk about that we have courses for that and implementations for that. That is the major idea. Not that we have courses, but the idea is that AI applications are something that's very, really important today. Hey, give me a second. Maybe somebody is trying to say that they don't hear me or something like that. No, it's not. All right. So, with that, of course, comes interesting news and attempt to regulate AI in Texas. Now, what I'm showing here is the regular newsletter from Andrew Ng, the call The Bitch. And what I'm interested is down below is Texas, just because I live in Texas. And that's an amazing thing that they propose, but no worries. So that's what we're coming to. There will be a cow, an appropriate thing to show. Or maybe a male cow. Where is it? I don't see it. Okay, so I'll just tell you, I wanted to read it, but I can't. Well, there is a regulation in Texas, but it's not starting right away. It's starting, if it passes, it starts only about 6 months from now, and it wants to penalize and to put some regulations on large companies. There is a carve out. Small companies are okay, but then they reach a lot. They want to regulate every large company who only does business in Texas, even though its headquarters is somewhere else. But that's a pretty powerful power grab. Very funny. I'll tell you what happens. Small companies are carved out for now, so no worries. But it's interesting, and who wants to know? Well, I'll just send me an email. I'll show it to you. That's one. Another interesting thing is that I'm still working on the AI for execs. It will be my first delivery of the course of AI for execs, and I'm working on that painstakingly detailed right here. Right here, we run it by the client and we do interesting things. I prepared a trail for them because I can't rely on anyone really reading anything. I also keep asking, and they don't know because they use some AI. That's a situation today. Very much sandbox, very much protected from everything else. You can't even know what it is. So I asked a bunch of questions. I said, just tell me who you are. That's what I want to show. Trying to figure out the best possible for them. And that's very typical. The reason I'm talking about this is because that is what I see is going on. So, first of all, that is a sales organization within a health insurance. So they want very specific. They want use cases that are not just ChatGPT and are not just healthcare. No, they want sales. Okay, so very good. I'm preparing sales and I'm asking AI, who are you? Okay, so if they enter this into their window, which that's the only thing they're allowed to do, allowed to click here and there will be AI. Then turns out that it will tell you, it says, I am a large language model trained by Google. And I'm asking about, well, I want to do something about sales. What can you do about sales? So it gives you usually evasive AI typical answer about that's all the great generic things we can do with sales. So it's not interesting in detail. I mean, for you in detail. What is interesting is that that is where the applications are going. They are going into very specific use cases. It's kind of, I'm an electrician. I'm going to put electricity everywhere in the home. What electrical utilities or devices do you have? And I will connect them. That is what's going on right now. There was one interesting thing, comparison to this. You all know Canvas. Canvas is a new tool in ChatGPT. Okay, you all know, but maybe you haven't seen it lately. So if you go to chat and all over there you say open canvas, then what happens is that it changes the format completely. That is same chat GPT, but working on the canvas. And what it does is this. Here on the right, it works on a certain document. Let's work on a presentation. About AI, and let's say about Canvas. So what it will do is it will work on the presentation. It's creating a presentation here, presentation on AI and Canvas, and does the usual blah, blah, blah. Then you can give it more instructions. No, okay, that's too much maybe. But rather than saying that, I will go to the right here and I will look at all the controls that I have. One of those controls is region level. And I will push this region level down below to kindergarten, and then click on that, and I will ask it to rewrite it as if for a kindergarten. Must be that I should have selected something. But that's basically what I wanted to tell you. That's Canvas. Okay. Now, what I did was ask it, well, do you know about Canvas? Because that's Google and Canvas is from ChatGPT. That's a competitor. So what I found is that no, it doesn't. It doesn't know about anything other than it was trained on something. Well, ChatGPT has added a tool. That tool is called Web Search Tool. We humans are well familiar with that, right? Thanks to Google, but it is not familiar with that. So it tells me, no, I don't know anything, and then talks about generics. All right, but out of that, I will prepare and share with you the next week the real AI for executives who are not technical, who are scared of two things. They're scared of this technology. I see that's going on all the time in people, in companies. They are just unspokenly scared. And these guys and girls are scared of two things, that they will not understand it, and then it will replace them. It will also scare them because of the need to code, because that will kind of require, you really will have to exercise your brains. And what? You became a manager not to exercise your brain? No, doesn't work. So the same for lawyers. So that's what I find out, and the result of it will be here next week, and we are moving. We're moving with what we want to do. That is AI for executives and how we're working on that. The next one is also very interesting, and that's the meat of what we're talking about. That's anthropic computer use hands-on. So what is anthropic computer use? Computer use is a complete term. It's not just I'm using the computer. It's AI that can control your computer. Now, if that raises some eyebrows, then yes, you might be scared. So right away they tell you, oh, don't really give it your computer, give it a virtual machine. But after that, here is the complete lab, and they are talking about how you can create multiple agents. In other words, multiple uh, um, assistants that will all be AI enabled, and that will do things for you. So let's put it into the perspective. The things that they will do for you will be anything that you want. You know, like my wife said, no, how does it know what you want? Well, sorry, you use computer for pleasure, but if you use the computer for work, you probably know what you want. Well, you can tell it, do all my work. How? It's not that easy. I said that do all my work. That sounds pretty easy, but the way it will help happen is this. Well, first of all, we'll be working with the API. So you will install additional packages from Anthropic. That's coming from Anthropic. And then you will, well, let's do it. Let's try it. Grabbing the packages from Anthropic. And if it's too slow, I will probably refresh. Let's try it. Here I'm using their environment. Later on, when I copy it to my labs, I'm using my environment. Right now, it's theirs. So I refresh that. I grabbed the labs, and then I'm going to use AI. In this case, their model called Claude 3.5 Sonnet 2024 1022, one of the latest. And I'm going to first of all exercise my power of how I'm talking to AI. That's it first. Then I will go through other things. Like when I come to work, don't I first of all make coffee? That's connection to AI. Then prepare to talk to the screen. I need to be able to see my screen, like with my eyes, and analyze what I see, make conclusion. So quite really fantastical things that I'm automating. After I see the screen, and after I'm using an agent that can analyze what's on the screen, here are the prompts. Here are some optimizations. And finally, in the end, there will be a complete demo of how you automate everything. Like you say, I want this, and from then on, it's completely you. So rather than go through that lab right now, I will at the end. But right now, I want to show you some slides. And also, I see the wonderful conversation that's going on, but I want the slides right here. Okay, so a few slides starting from here. And I showed you pretty much the same as in all the labs, but a bit more details. So at first, we will learn how to just talk to the AI. That's Anthropic. And not everybody is familiar with Anthropic. Now, it might be that you are. In my case, I was not. So a few slides will really help. At first, before even talking to that, we will look at Anthropic. Okay, then we will go into the details of how you implement this wonderful tool. And then I will tell you something very interesting at the end. So, multi-modal requests, meaning I talk to the computer and computer shows me the screens. So I'll need to understand them. Then I will show you how you really need to say what you need to say. That's the whole art. The art is in the prompts. The art is not in writing your own code right now, but in saying the right things to the Genie. Then some optimization and how does it work, and then finally the real good example. Okay, but as I said, I have not even touched much Anthropic. So if you go to Anthropic, what will happen is that you will either be a just user, talk, or a programmer, and that's how you build. All right. Then there will be an Anthropic story. So again, if you have not heard, Anthropic started as an $8 billion investment, but we need more. So how do they position themselves? What do you expect of them? They are really one of the major competitors to ChatGPT. And they did work for ChatGPT. So they think they have an idea. Okay, their idea is to prioritize AI safety at the frontier. So that means we will be the latest and greatest AI, but we will be the safe AI. So I think that's a great marketing, and with that kind of a team and that with that kind of investment, obviously it picks up, and what they become is the primary AI provider for Amazon. Because think of it, Chat AI is taken, ChatGPT is taken by Azure, by Microsoft. While Amazon is a very direct competitor to Microsoft. So with ChatGPT already being taken, there is no other choice, and they're a good choice. Okay, now we understand what are we looking at, why and how does it all work, and then a bit more of their positioning, that they investigate safety. So they position themselves as the latest, greatest research lab, but a lab that is also secure and that has alignment. Now, what is alignment? Well, it turns out that if you automate reading the web and become a ChatGPT, then you say the wrong things. You pick up any kind of bias, and bias is a political thing. Tomorrow, or in another country, the bias changes completely, right? So let's say you like hares, and hares meaning those little animals that jump. So if they take control, then maybe many things will be not appropriate. And that's what you teach teach ChatGPT, that's called alignment. Alignment is just to be polite in the current political climate. It also includes not teaching people how to destroy the world because the information is out there. So you filter those kinds of things. That's how they position themselves. Then they tell you, but yes, we have the models and you can use them. And the report is that Claude is great at helping you code, at least as good as ChatGPT, and these are the greatest models. We'll be using some of them, and that is essentially it. Now, you remember, if you want to say something, I already see that you do say that right here in the chat, here. And if you want to talk, just tell me to enable your microphone. All right. So in that way, I know that if you want to say something, you can. And if you want to just chat, you can. I just showed you an introduction of what this Anthropic is, what we're looking at. And now we're looking at the specific application. Yes, it is right here. It is encompassing all these steps. If you want to program the computer to do essentially human tasks, like come to work, make coffee, okay, skip coffee, but then open the browser, and you don't have to say more. Now, to put it in the right context, there is a whole movement that is precursor to this. This is called robotic process automation. Now, robotic process automation is glorified browser plugin that essentially does this, but it doesn't know what the browser is, doesn't know anything about buttons. So you do this application, robotic process automation, with telling it where to click. And that usually is very fragile because that where to click depends upon the size of the screen, and it breaks down the layout changes. So I think it's dead. I think robotic process automation, with all of its glory and attempts, is dead, or they simply switch to this technology. All right, now you understand where I'm going to. All right, so you switch to this technology, you verify that you are able to talk, but let's do something. Let's continue. So you connect to Anthropic and write me a haiku. That's how they pronounce haiku, about Anthropic. Okay, so it immediately wrote a little haiku. Minds born from science, seeking truth through AI's lens. Anthropic dreams big. A haiku, of course, is a very specific rhythm, structure, and number of syllables. That's a Japanese poetry. You don't get enlightened, if I may say so, on that particular haiku. The purpose of all of them is to get enlightened and see beyond the physical. I'm not sure if we achieved that here, but let's continue. So that's the response. What we want to do is keep talking. So now it wants to speak in Spanish. All right, it does speak in Spanish. And now it employs a simple bot. In this bot, I can ask, like, what is a haiku? And it should answer. It says it is a short form of Japanese poetry that follows a specific structure. And these are 3 lines, must be absolutely 3 lines, syllable pattern 5, 7, 5, and so on. That's the explanation. If you want to stop talking, don't go to the next cell, but instead say quit. So now I said quit, it said goodbye, we continue. Well, as we continue, it's reported, this Anthropic model is reported as being a great poet. So that's exactly what we'll talk about at the end. to put it more in context. But right now, oink goes the pig with pride, rolling in mud, belly to the sky, curly tail and snout so round, living life all safe and sound. I personally am not impressed with the poetic capacity of that, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is us talking to the model, and we can. You see, we can. Then we can give it much more complex tasks. And that is the essence of the first line. How do you get to this? That is the link. So let me give you that link. You have a choice of either waiting till next week when I will be running it locally or running it right there. I'm putting it in our course. That link is actually already here. So I don't even need to give it to you. It's there. And that link also tells you what will come. So then you will enable the model reading your screen. That's why if you're uncomfortable letting the model reading your screen, you run it on a virtual machine and then say, I didn't do it. So it will read that screen. Then they will tell you how to talk to it, how to do what's called prompt engineering or be an assistant to the magician. Then we will talk about a little optimization and additional tools. What else can you do? So I think it can search the web. Yeah, it can search the web because you imitate a human, of course. A human, that's all the human does, search the web. And then finally, computer is full, complete example. So I think it's a good introduction for now. I'm not going to do more today, but next time I will probably will. Okay, so that means that we have an idea of what we're going to do next time, but then I want to do this. So first of all, we copy that. That is where I put what I think will come up next time, but I'm also looking for your input. For example, Al, can you ask Anthropic about scientific reasoning on a specific question, like a topic in your book on gas? Wow, you know so much, even my book about gas chromatography. Yes. Essentially, Al, I think what you're asking, can you give it my book? Because otherwise he wouldn't know which book. And for that, I would say, let's go out of the lab. Let's go to Anthropic itself. And try to spell Anthropic. And it understood me. So when you come to Anthropic site, that's where you can talk to it. It does want your account. Oh, with Google. I think I'm there. So talk to Anthropic. It must be somewhere. Not the new things, but the old things. Talk to Anthropic. Okay, you're from. Well, of course, not like that because it doesn't know group my. I cannot actually contact Anthropic. Yeah, of course you cannot, but my question is not that. Well, in any case, I'm not sure. Of course, it can talk about the book. Can I upload the document here? Can I give my book to read? Okay, text. Can I upload? Can I upload A PDF. That was your question, Alan, right? Cannot directly read PDF. Wow. GC detector to use for nitroaromatic compound. You know, that's deep. It will not know. That's for sure. It's another question. If you, Al, if you're really interested in gas chromatography, yes, I was implementing something like that. Didn't go all that far. We can talk. Let's take it offline. If you're really interested, we'll talk about this later. So here I am. Let's talk to Mark at AI, and you will be able to ask that question. What we were doing, though, is looking at Anthropic as a lab. So I'm getting out of here. That's where you can talk to Anthropic, and we are stopping right here because we wanted to talk about, so you wrote a poem about pigs. I'll show you one poem. That's the poem that I was reading lately. It's my regular kind of study of poetry with my wife. And we saw this. It was out of a book for kids, but these are very advanced kids. So it was a poem about a hare. That's that little animal that jumps around. And the poem, I'll start and I'll show you what is the difference between AI and a real poet. And I believe honestly that it's unachievable. It's a big difference that will never be reached just because ChatGPT is average. It trains, it's a representation of an average human because it learns from average human. It doesn't know what is good, what is bad. It could only learn from poems like this or from Shakespeare. But no, it is bombarded by bad style advertisement. So it cannot learn what is good, what is bad. That's not its domain. What is good though? Okay, here lies, and that's about the hare. Here lies whom hounds did never pursue. It's a little bit of a riddle. It turns out he writes about his own animal, and that is currently not with us. So it was a home-kept rabbit, home-kept hare. Here lies whom hounds did never pursue. Of course they didn't. Nor a swift greyhound follow. That's real poetry. Whose foot never tainted morning dew, because he never ventured outside, was not allowed to, nor ear heard huntsman hollow. Old Timmy, that's the name of the rabbit, surliest of his kind. It was not a nice character animal who nursed with tender care, that's as far as the author gave him good care, and to domestic bounds confined, and he was never let out. He would not make it in the wild, like our neighbor said about our cat, was still a wild jack hare. Yeah, but it was wild. How? Though duly from my hand he took his pittance every night, he did it with a jealous look, and when he could, would bite. It's a wonderful poem, so I'm giving that to you. I'm not reading any further. If you want, you can read it. I'm giving it to you on a chat here. Here, chat. I think I also give here. And what I'm saying is that's a very simple proof. I also explained why. That guy's pretty talented. Who is this guy? Let's look at William Cowper. That's William Cowper. 1731 to to where? No, I can't read. Okay, let's go. Years of life to 1800. Okay, it's an English gentleman, and he was quite a well-known poet. So that's a genius, right? That's a very special quality. You can name a few geniuses, not the people who are the richest. That's a different category of interesting humans, but people who are talented. So, okay, so you clearly see that if ChatGPT could get to that level, then so could other humans. And other humans we know they cannot. That's one possible proof. All right. So that's what I was saying. That's outside of what we're talking about. A technological miracle it is. A genius in a human sense, it is not. That's my personal opinion. We would have to travel quite far into the future to see who is right. But there is another argument which we discussed earlier, and that is it our friend or is it our foe? And I am on the side that it is our friend, just because it has to be so. Okay, that is it. I'm looking into the questions. So what I'm doing is this. I'm stopping my video. I'm also asking you questions. Okay. I already copied this. And of course, we'll take whatever was not interesting, but whatever continued. That has to be continued next week. I promise a more complete solution because you see what the problems are. These people are afraid of a couple of things, as I explained. Nevertheless, they are very important humans, and we need to teach them AI. Next, Anthropic will probably return and do it again. But before we really finish, surprised that I was handing up my sleeve for you is the competitor from ChatGPT. So competitor was announced really, I think, yesterday. Anthropic did their thing about a week or two ago. They did not have a lab, however. Now they do. So the lab came up 2 days ago, but ChatGPT already had an answer, and their answer is boom, it's operator. So their term to counteract. Okay, I get the questions. It's nice. I can put my camera back. So I will talk. That's a very interesting question, Charles, and we'll talk about this. But come back to introducing operator. That is exactly the same thing as what we just saw. We just saw computer use. Very interesting way of marketing. This is called operator, kind of along the same line. January 23. It's only a research preview of agent. You also need a couple $100 every month, and I am going to spend it on your behalf, guys, because we're all interested and you can only get it if you spend. So I'll do it for you. So available to pro users in the US. That's only who can get it now. And then Sam Altman, I think, told us that they're losing money on it already. But that's not the point. The point is what Charles is saying. Okay. Thinking that the Stargate news was potentially the biggest news of the week, I say yes, it was. At least it's the largest amount of money. So many opportunities, not only for capacity and capability because of the new data centers, but due to the opportunity for us to provide training and development to companies of all sizes from SMB to enterprises. Shahla, I do not quite see uh, what we were lacking even before, right? So to provide the training and to provide the development, it's, I would say we have it. We have it with ChatGPT. You can do all of that. The fact that is the big news, yes, 500 billion. Now, of course, we all know a little background that Elon Musk says, "Oh, they don't even have that money." I know, I have the money. I know what money is, so they don't. But that is a SoftBank, and the SoftBank, the last I personally heard about this, was involved with the big scandal of a big real estate building. WeWork, yes, WeWork. So unfortunately, WeWork didn't work out, but I think that SoftBank still has what to do. So it will succeed, no doubt. And Facebook is already capitalizing a little bit on that and making their own investment. But it is very important. So let's do that. Let us at least do the Stargate and put that Stargate to the next. And of course, that's kind of more important than me trying to educate executives. So Stargate will be the first thing to discuss. Charles, I hope that is what you would want us to do, to talk more about this. Today we can't as yet, even though we really should, because that is, yes, the biggest news of last week. But we'll leave it for next week. So thank you for that. And if there are no more questions, then, so I'm not going to prove anymore that there is such a thing as genius. Proven. Remove that. But we might add something to this agenda, or at least we do that. So thank you very much, everyone. It's really exciting to talk to you because I kind of feel all the energy. And you do ask questions. For now, however, I will wish you everyone a great weekend and a great week and then a great year. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Alif. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Simona. All right, thank you and be well.